I'm not going to sit here and bullshack you. I'm not interested in this NBA Finals anymore. I got bigger fish to fry tonight than to watch that crap again. I can't take it. I cannot sit there and watch this guy, Doncic, crying all night to the refs when they're getting their ass beaten and it's over anyway. And I don't even care. I'll tell you what, like if coach is right and they win, have at it. They win again, have at it. They're not winning this series. It's over any way you slice it. You could slice it in 5, 6, 7, 4. It doesn't matter. And I have never been so bored in my life than watching it. I got to tell you, because of the behavior of him and his act like everybody owes him something. And to be as great as he is and to be that pathetic at the same time is like having a bad sandwich.
Yeah, look, I know you probably spent plenty of time on this yesterday. I wasn't with you. I thought his antics on Wednesday night were absolutely ridiculous. The stuff that he was doing,
right?
It was early and often. He played great in the first quarter. And then he had those, remember he took those 2 threes where he flopped on both of them in like the last minute of the first quarter? That set the tone.
Yeah.
He was frazzled the rest of the night after that. Crying, complaining, not playing well, fouls out of the game. Really an awful performance by him, and I'm sure you guys gave him the business plenty. The Celtics are favored tonight. Now it is -1.5. 211.5 is the total for tonight. I say put them out of their misery, Scotty. I say Celtics in a sweep tonight. Finish it off.
Well, let me ask you, when he's, as good of a player as he is, he's obviously, first-team All-Pro, right? But how much damage does this kind of place on him in his career that this is the showing that he put on for the world to see in the championship, in the finals, in the coup de grace, in the grand scheme of things? People know how great he is, but are they not going to remember him for how pathetic he's been in this series? Like this is what I'll remember. Just I don't know. I'm seriously, I'm not even kidding when I say this. I don't know who's worse, him or McDavid and Draisaitl. I don't know who's worse. I really don't.
Look, I think that something like this is obviously going to stay with him for a bit, and you know what it's going to take. There's only one thing now. When you get to this point, right, and it doesn't go your way, and you have stuff like what happened the other night, the only way you ever wash it away, you got to win the whole thing. And that ain't easy to do. That there's nothing else he can do in the league. You can win 4 MVPs, play in 15 All-Star games. All anyone's ever going to remember is the last time you were in the finals. Remember that game where you fouled out and you acted like a moron on the court all night? That's what they're going to remember. So until he gets back to this point, which I'm sure he could, Scotty. He's young, and he's a great player. Until he gets there, though, he's going to have to – this is going to follow him like a black cloud until he gets back to the finals. That's it.
I wouldn't – I'm not going to deny his probabilities of getting back, okay? That there's got to be some level of, chance here that he could, get back there. I don't feel like it's with immediacy, though. I do not believe, frankly, that they're going right back to the NBA Finals next year. Easier said than done. Everyone always has grandiose predictions of their, failures turning into a return trip to the finals. The only team that we've seen do that has been the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers got their ass beat last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, and they went back to the finals, and here they are. They're going to win a Stanley Cup. We have not seen that in, losing and then going back to a finals or a championship. What, like Michigan? I guess the Michigan Wolverines did it. They lost, and then they went back, and then they won it. I don't think Dallas is going back to the NBA Finals. And Florida and I don't think Dallas is going back to you.
No, I mean, look, it's a long way from that, obviously. Usually in the NBA, sometimes you do get teams that go on strings of making it, but those days are, these last 5 years have been different. We've had different matchups every year in the NBA Finals. We've had a little bit more parity, as they like to say, settle into the NBA, which wasn't there for 30 years. So
Right.
I think it'll be difficult for him to get back. And look, it's all based on matchups too, right? Look at the matchups that they got. And it's not to any of their fault, but they didn't have to play Denver. They didn't have to play some other teams that maybe would have been a worse matchup for them. You can't just think that you're going to be back there the next year. But he's going to have a lot of time. I think he'll get back someday, Sky. Might not be next year. But at some point, you'll see Luka back in the NBA Finals, and he's going to have to watch all of this away. If you want any of the player props tonight, Brown
Sure.
over 10.5 assists and rebounds, Brown over 4.5 assists, Pritchard over 3.5 points, Luka over 32.5 points, and Kyrie over 24.5 points. And we talk about how Luka's going to have the black cloud following over him for a long time. How about this guy, Brown? He's the guy, Scotty, that in my eyes, he comes out the best out of all this with the Celtics. I know everyone loves Tatum. For me, it's Brown. I think Brown's been the guy for them this entire playoff.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that at all. And I think you're right. So there's nothing to say. I will say this, that, and I don't like to be right about Zinger because, I like him. I like his game. I've said that to you 5 billion times. But I was literally almost to a T told you that he would never matter again. And I don't even, they gave him all this credit for the 20-point game. When I said he'd have 15, right, he had 20, and everyone thought he'd have 30, and his props were enormous. Second game, he had 12, and then he never played again, right? So, once again, like I said, he won't even make it in Dallas to play on the floor because he's so soft. I also said that he will be out of the league in 4 years because his body's just ravaged. His legs are, you know what he reminds me of? Big Bird. He reminds me of Big Bird's skinny little twiggy legs underneath that big-ass body of his. He got them skinny little tiny twig legs. And I think that his body has rejected him playing in the NBA. I think he's a great player that has all the talent in the world and can shoot over people and can score at will. But his body says no every day the alarm clock goes off. He can't play. He never plays. So I'm not surprised at all. They're going to win a championship. He's going to get a ring. Congratulations. And he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, let's be honest. They didn't need him the whole playoffs. I know that he played in round one. He played the first game here in this one. And the
he played in 2 games.
They didn't need him to get through this. That's for sure. But he will get his ring, as you just mentioned. I
like him. I just think he's ravaged.
Yeah, he is ravaged. Celtics haven't lost a road game yet in the playoffs, and they will try to finish that off tonight and make it a perfect record on the road throughout the NBA postseason, which we both think that they're going to be able to do tonight, that's for sure.